Veronica froze in the middle of her wedding reception, stunned by what she saw in the bar mirror behind the counter. Her mother, Melissa, dressed in a soft rose gown, leaned quietly over Veronica's untouched champagne glass. Melissa's hand moved quickly. 3 tiny drops from a small vial slipped into the drink. Then she looked around, calm and graceful, as if she had simply adjusted a flower arrangement. Veronica's breath caught. 30 years of being the strong daughter, suddenly focused into one terrifying truth. Melissa hadn't come to celebrate. She had come with a plan, and Veronica wasn't supposed to see it. Veronica had spent her whole life being the dependable one. Her younger brother Alex was the sensitive dreamer, the artist Melissa adored and protected from every consequence. Veronica, meanwhile, carried the weight of responsibility. Something went wrong, she fixed it. If Alex failed, she was expected to understand. Her father, Robert, never challenged Melissa. Not now, he'd whisper whenever Melissa pushed too far. Let's keep the peace. Veronica never argued. He didn't know how. But Harper, her husband, saw it immediately. You're treated like you exist to support them, he whispered gently. Alex is the star. You're the foundation. Harper worked in hospital administration and noticed patterns faster than anyone Veronica had ever met. Months before the wedding, he warned her, your family uses you as the emotional glue. They don't treat you like someone with needs. Veronica wanted to deny it, but every memory confirmed his words. At age 8, she was punished for not watching 6-year-old Alex when he broke a window. At 17, when Alex wrecked the family truck, Melissa blamed her for not being home. Every mistake Alex made was Veronica's burden. Every achievement Veronica earned was expected and ignored. The engagement dinner proved everything Harper had been saying. Melissa spent nearly an hour praising Alex's small freelance art project as if he had created a masterpiece that would change the world. When she finally turned to Veronica, she simply said, "And Veronica, you're still at the insurance office, right?" Veronica nodded quietly. Harper squeezed her hand under the table. Later in the car, he said, "Your mom can't handle losing control. This wedding puts you at the center. She's going to try something." Veronica wanted to argue, but the tremor in Harper's voice told her he wasn't guessing. He was sure. 3 months before the wedding, the sabotage began. Melissa contacted the photographer pretending Veronica wanted a new timeline. She emailed the caterer with fake instructions. She changed the florist's color scheme and gave the bridesmaids the wrong rehearsal date. Harper caught every lie and saved every piece of evidence. Screenshots, receipts, timestamps. "She's testing you," he whispered. "Seeing how much she can interfere." Veronica felt her chest tighten. "Why would my mom do this?" she whispered. Harper answered softly, "Because you stopped playing the role she built for you. And she would rather ruin the wedding than lose control over you." The rehearsal dinner confirmed how far Melissa was willing to push. 30 family members gathered in a warm, elegant restaurant. When dessert arrived, Melissa stood up with her glass. "I'm grateful for my children," she said sweetly. She turned to Alex, eyes glowing. "You bring creativity and joy everywhere you go." Alex beamed. Then she turned to Veronica. Her smile fell. "And Veronica, you're dependable. We always know you'll handle things." That was it. No warmth. No praise. Just duty. Harper squeezed Veronica's hand under the table. Her uncle Mark clenched his jaw, silently watching Melissa with growing anger. After dinner, Alex cornered Veronica. "Can I do a reading at the ceremony? I wrote something about siblings." Veronica breathed slowly. "Alex, the program was finalized months ago." Alex frowned. "It's just 2 minutes." "It's my wedding," she said firmly. His face tightened. "After everything Mom and Dad did, Harper and I paid for everything," Veronica interrupted. "They hosted the rehearsal dinner. That's tradition, not a favor." Alex stared at her as if seeing a stranger. "You've changed." Veronica answered softly, "No. I've stopped pretending this is normal." He walked straight to Melissa, whispering urgently as they both glared at her. Harper approached quietly. "What happened?" Veronica whispered. "He wanted to add a reading. I said no." Harper nodded. "Good. Boundaries feel mean to people who've never heard them." Uncle Mark joined them, muttering, "Melissa's furious." Harper sighed. She looked like she made a decision. Veronica swallowed hard. "What kind?" Harper glanced toward Melissa, who was smiling too sweetly at Alex. The kind someone makes when they think they're losing control. Later that night, Robert called. "Your mother is upset," he said. "Would it kill you to let Alex participate?" Veronica whispered. I'm being clear." Robert sighed. "Let's just get through the weekend." The wedding day was beautiful. Sunlight, soft music, and 200 guests filling the Riverside Inn. The ceremony went perfectly. When the reception began, Harper kept close to Veronica, sensing tension in the air. Guests mingled, champagne flowed, laughter filled the room. Then came the toast. Harper's best man spoke first, telling funny stories from college. The room laughed. Then Melissa stood up slowly, holding her champagne. "Family is everything," she said warmly. She looked at Alex, her whole face softening. "You've always reminded me what matters most, following your heart." Alex nodded proudly. Then Melissa turned to Veronica and the warmth vanished instantly. "And Veronica," Melissa said coolly, "you've always been reliable. We can depend on you. I know you'll take care of Harper. That's what you do." She raised her glass. Everyone else lifted theirs. But Veronica saw it, the brief flicker of satisfaction in Melissa's eyes. A tiny smile. Secret. Suddenly, Veronica remembered the moment at the bar earlier. Melissa standing alone beside her drink. The quick movement of her hand. The vial. The 3 drops. Veronica's pulse hammered. Harper leaned close. "What's wrong?" he whispered. Veronica stared at the champagne. I think my mother put something in my drink." Harper's eyes widened. "You're sure?" Veronica swallowed hard. "I saw her in the mirror." She looked around first. Then 3 drops. Harper looked at both glasses. "Switch them," he whispered. Veronica blinked. "What?" "If you're wrong, nothing happens. If you're right, then we'll have proof." Veronica's hands trembled. The idea felt insane, but the last 3 months had been insane too. And Melissa wasn't violent. She was controlling. She probably meant to embarrass her, not harm her. Veronica switched the glasses with one quiet movement, placing Melissa's untouched champagne where hers had been. Harper squeezed her hand. "How we wait?" 5 minutes passed. Nothing happened. Veronica almost convinced herself she had imagined it. Then she saw Melissa lift the glass, the one she believed belonged to Veronica. She took a long drink, smiled at Robert and set it down elegantly. Everything looked normal. Then Melissa's hand twitched. She blinked rapidly. "Melissa," Robert whispered. She waved him off. "I'm fine. Just warm." She tried to stand, but her knees buckled. Robert caught her as her eyes rolled back. She collapsed into the chair. The entire reception went silent. Veronica's stomach dropped. She didn't feel victorious. She felt sick. Terrified. And responsible. Harper reacted first, slipping into her hospital administrator voice. Everyone step back. Give her space. Guests obeyed immediately. Robert knelt beside Melissa, frantic. "Melissa, can you hear me?" Melissa mumbled incoherently, her head bobbing weakly. Alex pushed through the crowd. "What happened?" Robert stammered. "She just collapsed." Veronica moved toward the bar, not toward Melissa, toward evidence. Her best friend Jana followed closely. "V, where are you going?" "I need to document everything," Veronica whispered. She snapped photos of the glasses, the bar layout, the name cards, everything. The bartender approached, pale. "I swear I didn't do anything." "I know," Veronica said. "Just don't touch anything." Harper rushed over. "The paramedics are 2 minutes out." She glanced at Melissa's purse. "We need her bag before anyone else touches it." Most of the crowd was focused on Melissa. No one noticed Harper reach for the clutch sitting on the chair. She held it by the edges, careful not to smudge anything. Veronica opened it slightly. Inside were lipstick, tissues, a small mirror, and then tucked into a side pocket, a tiny glass vial with residue inside. Harper exhaled shakily. "That's it. That's what she used." "Don't touch it," Veronica whispered. "We hand the whole purse to paramedics." Uncle Mark appeared beside them. "Girls, what's happening?" Veronica whispered. "She tried to drug me." Mark went pale. "You're joking." "We have proof." The paramedics arrived, lifting Melissa onto a stretcher. One of them asked, "Do we know what she ingested?" Harper handed over the purse carefully. There's a small vial in the side pocket. No one touched it. It needs to go to the hospital sealed with her belongings. The paramedic checked and nodded. Looks like a sedative. We'll run a talk screen immediately. They rushed Melissa out, Robert running behind them. The room buzzed with shock. The wedding coordinator approached Veronica nervously. Should we continue? Harper shook her head firmly. No. The reception is over. Please send everyone home and we'll settle payment tomorrow. Guests whispered as they gathered their things. Janice stayed along with Uncle Mark and Harper's parents. What do you need? Harper's father asked. Veronica breathed deeply. Witness statements. Anyone who saw Melissa near the bar. Mark raised his hand. I did. She kept glancing over her shoulder. She looked sneaky. Harper's mother added, I saw her too. She looked nervous. Harper wrote down each name and time, documenting everything. 2 county officers arrived about 15 minutes later. Officer Harris interviewed Veronica. Walk me through everything, he said. Veronica explained Melissa's behavior over the last few months, the sabotage attempts, the rehearsal dinner comments, what she saw at the bar and the glass switch. Harris raised an eyebrow. You switched the glasses? Veronica nodded. Based on what? 6 months of escalating behavior, she said. I knew something was wrong. I just didn't know how far she'd go. Harper showed screenshots of the sabotage. Harris's partner let out a low whistle. This looks premeditated. Harris nodded slowly. We'll need the security footage. The venue manager pulled up the bar camera footage. Timestamp, 2:47 p.m. The black and white video showed Melissa alone at the bar. She looked around twice, reached into her clutch, pulled out a small vial, held it over the champagne flute, tipped it, returned the vial, checked over her shoulder, picked up the wrong glass, walked away. Harris watched quietly, then turned to Veronica. That is your mother? Yes. That's strong evidence, he said. You protected yourself. He made a call to his supervisor. After a few minutes he returned. We are opening an investigation for attempted assault with a controlled substance. When the crowd finally dispersed, Veronica stood in the empty hall, numb. Your mom tried to drug you at your wedding, Jenna said softly. Veronica nodded, staring at the floor. What was her plan? Uncle Mark muttered. Embarrass her? Make her faint? Blame stress. Veronica swallowed. She wanted control. She always does. Harper's phone buzzed. Who is it? Veronica asked. Your boss. Harper said, confused. She answered. It was her chief supervisor. Harper, we heard what happened. Whatever you need, time off, a lawyer referral, anything, we're here. Harper's eyes softened. Thank you. That means more than you know. Veronica whispered, chosen family. Later that evening they drove to the hospital. Robert sat alone in the waiting room, pale and shaken. Where's Alex? Veronica asked. In the bathroom, Robert whispered. He's taking this hard. Veronica didn't respond. How's Melissa? Harper asked. Stable, Robert said. They think it was a reaction to something. Veronica sat across from him. Dad, she didn't collapse from stress. She drank what she put in my glass. Robert blinked. That's not funny. It's not a joke, Harper said. There's video. There's a vial. There are witness statements. Robert went silent, disbelief shifting into fear. Before Robert could respond, they heard a familiar voice down the hall. Veronica's aunt, Clara, arriving in a rush. She spotted them and marched over. What did you do to her? She snapped. Veronica straightened. Excuse me. Melissa collapsed at your wedding, Clara said sharply. Now I hear police are involved. Explain yourself. Veronica looked her dead in the eye. She tried to drug me. She drank it by mistake. Clara's face twisted. That's ridiculous. Harper stepped forward, voice cold. There's video. There's a vial. There's a talk screen coming. Pick whichever truth helps you sleep, but the evidence doesn't care. Alex returned from the bathroom, eyes red. What's going on? He asked shakily. Harper showed him the security footage on her phone. Alex watched the entire clip. Melissa glancing around, the vial, the drops, the switch, the drink. His face went pale. There has to be some explanation, he whispered. Veronica said softly. There is one. She tried to drug me. Uncle Mark stepped beside her. Alex, she did this. I saw her at the bar acting weird. Alex stared at the phone again, tears forming. No, she wouldn't. But the footage kept playing and the truth refused to bend. A nurse approached. She can have visitors now. Room 312. They walked down the hallway. Veronica, Harper, Robert, Alex, Uncle Mark and Clara. Melissa was propped up in a hospital bed, for in her arm, eyes sharp and alert. She saw Veronica and immediately narrowed her gaze. You did this, she snapped. Not hello. Not concern. An accusation. Harper quietly hit record on her phone. Melissa's eyes flicked to the device. Turn that off. This is private. Harper didn't move. Nothing is private anymore, Melissa. Not after what you did. Robert stepped closer, his voice breaking. Melissa, tell me this isn't true. Tell me you didn't put something in Veronica's drink. Melissa looked at him for a long moment, calculating. Too long. Veronica felt her stomach tighten. Finally, Melissa sighed dramatically. It wasn't like that. Harper's voice cut like glass. So you did. Melissa's jaw clenched. I was protecting the family. Robert blinked. By drugging your daughter? Melissa lifted her chin. She's changed since meeting Harper. That woman is controlling her. She's turning her against us. Veronica whispered, Mom, you tried to drug me. Melissa twisted the blanket between her fingers. You don't understand what I've sacrificed. Alex needed me. He needed my support. And you, Veronica, you were strong. You didn't need anything. Veronica stared at her mother in disbelief. You crippled Alex by protecting him from everything. You didn't help him. You trapped him. Alex's voice cracked. Mom, is that true? Melissa didn't answer. Robert's voice dropped. Melissa, did you plan this? Did you plan to drug our daughter at her wedding? Silence. Then finally Melissa whispered, Yes. I planned it. Robert stepped back as if someone had struck him. Robert stood there for several long seconds, breathing heavily. Then he turned away from the bed. 34 years, he whispered. And I defended you. I explained you. I smoothed everything over. I never saw this. Melissa tried to sit up. Robert, wait. No, he said. I'm done covering for you. He walked out. Uncle Mark followed. Alex hesitated but eventually left too, his face full of confusion and betrayal. Clara stepped to the door whispering, Melissa, what were you thinking? Then she left as well. Only Veronica and Harper remained. Harper stopped recording and saved the file silently. Melissa looked smaller without her audience. Veronica, please, she whispered. I just wanted things to go back to normal. Veronica's voice was steady. There is no normal. There's only what you forced on us. Melissa's eyes filled with tears. I'm your mother. You tried to drug me, Veronica said calmly. That ended the moment those drops hit my glass. Harper touched Veronica's arm gently. We're done here. They turned away as Melissa called after them, Veronica. Veronica, come back. But Veronica didn't stop. For the first time she didn't turn around to fix the mess. Outside in the parking lot, they found Robert standing next to his truck, shoulders slumped. Uncle Mark was beside him. Robert looked up, his eyes tired. What happens now? Veronica exhaled. The police will file charges. She'll be arrested when she's released from the hospital. Robert swallowed. And after that? Veronica met his eyes. After that, you decide what kind of man you want to be. Robert looked stunned. What does that mean? It means, she said gently, you've spent your whole life choosing peace instead of truth. You enabled her. You kept the delusion alive. Robert leaned back against the truck, tears filling his eyes. I thought I was keeping the family together, he whispered. Uncle Mark put a hand on his shoulder. You weren't. You were keeping Melissa comfortable. Robert stayed quiet for a long moment. Then he inhaled deeply. I'm filing for divorce. Veronica nodded. I figured you might. Robert wiped his eyes. I should have stood up sooner. I should have protected you. Veronica squeezed his hand. Then start now. They stood in silence, letting the truth settle. For the first time in years, the air around them felt honest. That night, Harper and Veronica drove home quietly. When they pulled into the driveway, Harper turned to her. How are you really feeling? Veronica stared ahead. I don't know. Said. Relieved. Harper nodded. It makes sense. Veronica whispered. I keep seeing her face when she looked at me. Like I betrayed her by refusing to be controlled. Harper reached for her hand. You didn't betray her. You freed yourself. Later, Veronica lay awake on the couch, unable to sleep. Harper found her there at 2 a.m. Veronica whispered. She actually believed she was protecting us. Harper nodded softly. That's the terrifying part. 3 days later, Melissa was released from the hospital. County officers were waiting at the exit. Veronica and Harper weren't there, but Robert was. He watched silently as the officers placed handcuffs on Melissa. She looked around desperately. Robert, please, tell them this is a misunderstanding. Robert shook his head. I've spent my entire marriage defending you. Not this time. Melissa screamed as they escorted her to the patrol car. The news spread fast through the family. Veronica's phone exploded with calls. Harper handled each one. No comment, she repeated. Please direct questions to the police. Veronica sat quietly, finally feeling a boundary hold. 4 days after the arrest, Alex asked to meet Veronica at a small coffee shop. He looked exhausted, unshaven, and lost. Dad filed for divorce, he said quietly. Veronica nodded. I know. Alex looked at her as if searching her face for a version of the past that still existed. You knew everything, he whispered. All the favoritism, all the ways she protected me, you knew. Veronica stirred her tea slowly. I lived it. Alex swallowed hard. Are you going to drop the charges? Veronica answered softly. It's not up to me anymore. It's the state. They have evidence. Alex's jaw tightened. She's our mother. Veronica leaned forward. She tried to drug me, Alex. At my wedding. In front of 200 people. Alex looked away, wiping his eyes. What about the family? Veronica breathed out slowly. I'm not tearing the family apart. I just stopped holding it together with my bare hands. Alex trembled with anger and helplessness. You've always been cold, he said. Veronica shook her head gently. No. I've always told the truth. You just never wanted to hear it. He stood abruptly, muttered something under his breath, and walked out without looking back. That night, Robert called Veronica. I filed the papers, he said quietly. Your Uncle Mark helped me find a lawyer. I should have done this years ago. Veronica listened. For once, his voice didn't sound like someone trying to keep the peace. It sounded like someone choosing honesty. Dad, she said gently, what do you want your life to look like now? Robert exhaled shakily. Different. Honest. And I'm cutting Alex off financially. No more support. He gets 6 months to get a job and move out. Veronica nodded. He won't like that. Robert sighed. For the first time, I don't care. 6 weeks later, the case moved fast. The district attorney refused to soften the charges. Attempted assault with a controlled substance. The security footage was too clear. The vile evidence was too strong. Harper sat beside Veronica in the courtroom as Melissa stood before the judge in a beige jumpsuit, wrists cuffed. The judge, a stern woman with gray hair, leaned forward. Mrs. Hayes, attempting to drug your own daughter at her wedding shows a profound lack of boundaries. Melissa whispered shakily, I was trying to protect my family. The judge's voice sharpened. By drugging your daughter? That is not protection. Melissa lowered her head as the judge continued. You meant for your daughter to be sedated in front of 200 witnesses. The only mistake you didn't intend was drinking the substance yourself. Veronica held Harper's hand tightly. The judge delivered the sentence. 18 months in county jail and 3 years probation afterward. As the gavel struck, Melissa looked back at Veronica with tearful eyes, but Veronica didn't stand. She didn't look away either. She simply let the moment be what it was. The consequence of 30 years of manipulation finally reaching its limit. Harper whispered, You're free now, V. Really free. 4 months after the sentencing, Alex called again. His voice was smaller this time. I got a job, he said. Part-time. At a bookstore. 26 hours a week. Veronica nodded even though he couldn't see her. That's good. Alex exhaled shakily. It's not art. But I like helping people find what they need. Veronica heard something new in his voice, humility. What else? She asked. I moved out, he said. Got my own small studio. First time I've ever paid my own rent. Veronica smiled faintly. That's progress, Alex. Silence, then a whisper. I'm sorry for everything. Veronica breathed in, choosing her words carefully. Are you sorry it happened? She asked. Or sorry you're facing consequences now? Alex didn't answer right away. Finally he said, both. But mostly the first. His honesty was fragile but real. I'm in therapy, he continued. Trying to figure out who I am without Mom telling me I'm special. Veronica nodded. That's a good start. Alex hesitated. Do you think we can be siblings again? Veronica paused, her heart bruised but open. I don't know. Apologies don't fix patterns. Behavior does. Keep working. Show consistency. We'll see. 10 months after the wedding, Harper came home late from work, hands trembling as she dropped her bag. Veronica rushed over. What happened? Harper shook her head and finally broke into tears. Someone asked about the wedding today, and I just couldn't hold it together. Veronica wrapped her arms around her. Hey, it's okay. Harper whispered, I'm scared she'll come back one day. I'm scared I can't protect you. Veronica held her tighter. You already protected me. You saw what I couldn't see. And whatever comes next, we handle it together. Harper nodded, tears soaking into Veronica's shoulder. 14 months after the wedding, the doorbell rang at sunset. Veronica wasn't expecting anyone. She opened the door and froze. Melissa stood on the porch, thinner, older, stripped of her sharpness. Veronica, she whispered, can we talk? Harper appeared behind her, steady and calm. What do you want? Veronica asked. Melissa swallowed. To apologize. I've been in therapy. I know what I did. I know it was unforgivable. She looked down. I came only to tell you I understand the damage I caused. I'm not asking for a place in your life. Just acknowledgement that I'm trying. Veronica nodded slowly. Thank you for saying it. And for once that was enough.